Welcome to the Smith Sisters Talk Show. I'm Gwen.
And I am Crystal Smith.
And we are going to be talking about Thanksgiving. But first of all, we want to say hello and have Father Linus to say hello to our listening audience out in the World Wide Web and on the radio.
Well, hello, listeners. Good to be here today.
Okay, let me give you a short synopsis on Father Linus. He is a Josephite priest, and he shepherds at Blessed Sacrament St. John of Arc Catholic Church, and he is going to give us a reflection about the Thanksgiving holiday, specifically Thanksgiving first, because we are going to be celebrating that, and we need to talk about gratitude. But we also want to invite everybody to come to his church on Sunday for the Gospel Mass at 10 a.m. Father Linus, please give us a reflection.
Well, thank you. Dear listeners, as we approach Thanksgiving, our hearts naturally turn towards gratitude. That time that we appreciate God in our lives, we appreciate one another, we appreciate family and friends. But today I want us to reflect on the right attitudes that we should bring to this season as we gather as families to respect that long-lasting tradition of sharing a meal and cooking that wonderful recipe that Grandma gave us as a family. We should develop these attitudes that are rooted in our faith, shaped by Scripture, and grounded in Christian understanding of God's goodness. Thanksgiving is more than just a holiday. It is a spiritual posture. It is a way of seeing the world. It is how believers interpret the movements of God in their lives. St. Paul tells us in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 18, "In all circumstances give thanks, for this is the will of God for you in Christ Jesus." Notice St. Paul doesn't say for all circumstances, but in all circumstances. True Christian gratitude is not denial of hardship. We know of how tough it's been the past few days, the past few years, the past few weeks. Some people are still suffering from the shutdown that we are thankful to God that is over now. Some people are suffering from sickness. Some people are suffering from financial difficulties. So Thanksgiving, it's not a denial of this hardship, but it is the conviction that God remains faithful through every circumstance. So what are the right attitudes that we should cultivate toward Thanksgiving? The first is humility. Everything we have, our life, our family, our friends, and everything in our life is a gift from God. Every opportunity is a gift. Psalm 103 verse 2, the psalmist says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits." So most of the time, because we suffer from short-term memory, we easily forget. We take much for granted. But humility opens our eyes. It reminds us that we stand where we stand today because of God's mercy and the generosity of others. Parents who sacrifice, teachers who encourage, friends who supported, a community that embraced us. And Thanksgiving invites us to slow down and remember that I am here by grace. The second attitude is compassion. True Thanksgiving always overflows into care for others, and that is why we gather as family and friends. So in Luke chapter 6 verse 38, Jesus tells us, "Give, and it will be given to you." Our heart touched by gratitude becomes generous. When we realize how much we have received, something beautiful happens. We begin to notice who around us needs encouragement, a hot meal, a listening ear, or a reminder that they matter. So Thanksgiving becomes a mission, especially in times of national tension, economic hardship, or uncertainty. Compassionate gratitude becomes a powerful witness. It says, "Because God has blessed me, I will be a blessing." So the third attitude is remembrance. Thanksgiving is a moment to look back and trace the fingerprints of God in our story, in our family, in our relationships, in everything that we do. So like the people of Israel who pause to remember how God led them out of Egypt, we too must remember how God has led us, how God has healed us, how God has opened a door we thought was closed, how God has given us the strength to endure even when the times were tough, and how God surrounds us with people who love and care for us. Lamentations chapter 3, verses 22 to 23, we hear the steadfast love of God never ceases. His mercies are new every morning. So Thanksgiving invites us to say, Lord, you have been faithful, and you will continue to be faithful, I believe. So for this reason, I give you thanks. The fourth attitude is contentment, not complacency, not lack of ambition, but a peace that comes from knowing that God provides what we truly need. St. Paul tells us, while he was in prison, he writes in Philippians chapter 4, verse 1 through verse 12 to verse 11 to 12, I have learned to be content in whatever situation I am in. So contentment frees us from envy, comparison, and the pressure to measure our lives by what we lack instead of what we have. That is when we hear people encouraging us to count our blessings instead of our challenges. So contentment lets us say, Lord, this moment is enough. You are in charge and you are enough. Finally, the right attitude towards Thanksgiving is consistency. We have to be committed because Thanksgiving is not just a noun, it's not just a word. It is a verb, an action word, a way of life. So Thanksgiving is not just a day in November that we remember, but it is a lifestyle. Every morning we wake up is a Thanksgiving. Every breath we take in is a Thanksgiving. Every act of kindness we give or receive is a Thanksgiving. So gratitude keeps our hearts open, our spirits grounded, and our faith anchored. It protects us from bitterness, despair, and fear. It helps us see God's goodness even in stormy seasons. Colossians chapter 3 verse 15 reminds us that let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts and be thankful. Thankful people are peaceful people. Grateful people are hopeful people. Christian people are Thanksgiving people. As we celebrate Thanksgiving this year, let us embrace the right attitudes. Remember, humble gratitude, compassion, remembrance of God's faithfulness and love and protection, contentment, a lifestyle of thanksgiving. And so I pray, may this season renew our hearts, may it deepen our love for God and our neighbor, our families and our friends, and may our gratitude become a powerful witness of hope in our community and our nation. So at this moment I can say happy Thanksgiving, and may God bless all of you abundantly. I am grateful to God in a very special way for the opportunity to serve at St. Augustine High School, the St. Augustine High School in New Orleans. I'm very proud of the achievements that we have at St. Aug. The young men, most of them, once they finish from St. Aug, they go to college, they go to universities, they study and become great men, and they are making a great impact in our society. So I'm proud of them. And this season, talk about a football team. They are sailing there on a winning streak. So I'm proud to be part of this family to celebrate greatness. And that is what we do in Thanksgiving. So thank you so much for listening.
Oh, thank you, Father. That was great. Talking about St. Aug and Thanksgiving. This was terrific. And I am so glad that you came. I'm thankful that you take the opportunity to come out of your busy schedule from St. Augustine to come over here and give reflection to our listening audience. And we just wanted to have Father Linus on to prepare for Thanksgiving for everybody. Next, we have Father Mark Mitchell, who is going to talk. Pastor Mark Mitchell. And the topic of our show, it's all encompassing about Thanksgiving. We're cultivating gratitude, family traditions, and practices. And Pastor Mitchell, will you say hello to our listening audience?
Oh, it'll be my honor. Good afternoon to all of those who are listening to this beautiful broadcast, and to you and to your loved ones. Happy Thanksgiving, and also safe travel. I don't know if you're traveling out of town or loved ones are traveling to where you are. May God provide traveling grace to all, and to these beautiful sisters with this marvelous afternoon radio broadcast as a ministry that's over the airwaves.
Okay, Pastor Mitchell, we want to start talking about your family, Thanksgiving, and what family traditions do you believe best embody the spirit of gratitude, and what generation did that originate from in your family?
Well, the tradition of celebrating with family emanated out of my father and mother relationship, and it did not take a day like Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter, which all of those days, as we know, they are great celebratory times to bring the family together, to experience joy in life and create memories, and which is wonderful. But my mother and father had Thanksgiving and every day at our home. So those rich traditions started with a Christian father, Christian mother, who wanted to plan in our lives, to be thankful and grateful every day of your life. And so when Thanksgiving or any other celebratory holy day season rolled around, we enjoyed it, but we were already prepared because the life that my parents lived before us.
Okay, Pastor. Could you tell us some of the programs that you have at your church and your community, and how do you think the youth, the young people, the teenagers, young men going from teens to manhood?
Some of the programs that we have organized through either our church or our Christian faith-based organization, one of which I am godly proud of, is Louisiana Youth for Excellence program, which hails from Governor Jeff Landry's office. It's a statewide program that have young people to congregate together from middle school to high school, meet new friends, and grow together, mature together around life skills. And it's an abstinence program with an evidence-based model curriculum that we use to teach young people to hold off on pregnancy until they accomplish their academic goals, educational goals, and career goals, and challenge them to do that by exposing them to some great teachings, and also relationships with professionals who present themselves and share with these kids a better pathway in their future. So another program is our Children of Hope program, which is every first Saturday of the month. We're gearing up for that in lieu of Christmas for the first Saturday in December. Hundreds of kids will gather together and descend on our property, where we'll be able to give them and provide rides and just have a great time.
Question I have, what is the percentage of kids in private school in your community and public schools?
That I don't know the answer. I do my guesswork around that. Mostly they are public school students, and the reason why they're public school kids, because our church nonprofit group decided to adopt schools in Jefferson Parish that are low performing schools. Seems as though those kids, those students, those schools should get the valuable resources because they are struggling. We don't want them to struggle, so we should race and run to be able to help them. Just for an example, if it's cold outside, you have a coat to warm your body. I don't, but then Crystal should be able to give me the coat. I'm the one that has a cold body, and it seems as though we always give resources to those whom have, those to whom are doing good. So we vowed that our resources, our relationships, our monetary value would be targeted at low performing schools to help teachers, help students, help parents to lift up the scores of those schools.
And that's a great thing, because we're talking about gratitude, we're talking about Thanksgiving. But we need to put people in those positions in their homes and in the community to understand what it is to be gifted enough to have Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. And I say this, I think when I spoke to one of the Smith sisters, you mentioned to me about cultivating
That's right.
gratitude. And I want to say this, I thought that was such a beautiful topic because cultivated is an agricultural word. It's a farming word. And two things must happen for cultivation, for growth. One is we got to remove elements that would hinder the growth and then replace the elements that would assist and facilitate growth. So if we're going to be grateful, we have to cultivate our heart, remove selfishness from out of our hearts, remove prejudiceness and biases from our hearts, and replace it with love, and replace it with unity, replace it with oneness. And then only can we really show gratitude, Thanksgiving, particularly not only for ourselves, but also for those who are least among us, those who are struggling among us, to be able to assist them, to help them to be better.
Okay, can you share a specific memory from your family gathering that was important to you about gratitude and you can remember at this age? Okay.
That would be great.
That's an easy one for me. It's the gratitude, and I thank you for that marvelous question, because my mind raced to when I was an elementary school student, and the gratitude that I have was not around Christmas, not necessarily around Thanksgiving, but it was a gratitude for a loving Christian mother and a loving Christian father in my house. If you can zero in my home, if I can allow you to do that, in the kitchen, it's 6 of us, my 2 parents, and there was 4 of us as kids, in that table where we ate together every single solitary day. My brother and I on one side of the table, my sisters on the other side of the table. We sat and ate with my mother and father every single day of our lives. My father was bivocational. He was a Baptist pastor, but also he worked in construction. My mother, for 38 years, taught in the public school system, special ed teacher. And so coming home after a day of for school for me and work for them, we had the unique opportunity to gather together and wrap our bodies around the table. And my dad led the conversation. And that's where all problems were solved. And a lot of problems were solved around the table when we discussed things. My dad wanted to know, Mark, how was your day? Herman Jr., your day. Lisa, Tracy, your day. We had to talk. We had to discuss. We ate and we socialized. So when you asked me that question, it was easily to answer. That goes back to my childhood.
That's a good
led
thing.
by my parents. It was an excellent thing.
But see, that's a point that you just made. But we excel where we're on computers. From the cell phone to computers when we're in class, in school, the high school students, and in college. Yeah. So we're definitely isolated. It doesn't look like we are, but really it is the computer and the person who's using the computer. And AI is not supposed to be that involved in our lives. So that's when we need the parents to become more involved in their children's lives. They can find out perhaps when they may be going astray and try to get them in positive programs to center them, because they're not centered. When you're in high school and college, you're really not centered. You're just learning what life is about. So you haven't made certain decisions.
And again, we just want to reinforce the topic of our show, which is cultivating gratitude, family tradition, and practices during the Thanksgiving holiday. And I just want to go deeper with Pastor Mitchell. How do you encourage Generation X, since you're working with kids, and Generation Y, community, and your church to appreciate and practice in these gratitude-focused traditions?
Yeah, beautiful question, and thank you for asking that. We try our best yearly with children's ministry ages 4 to 10, teen ministry ages 13 to 18, and we have those who oversee those ministries. And throughout the year, we have luncheons. We have sometimes a teen or children breakfast. We have dinners so that kids can come together and discuss their life with their parents also. So we take on that whole expense just to have a morning or an afternoon or an evening with them with topics to discuss about family life. What do you like about your school teacher? What do you like about your school? How you doing in your school work? We almost interrogate them, I guess,
That's
so
okay.
that they could, know how to socialize, communicate, and share what they're thankful. Recently, early part of the first quarter of this year, during Mother's Day and Father's Day, our kids had to get on stage and say to their parents what they are grateful
That's
for
great.
out of their mother, out of their father. They had to say that, and they wrote it, and they was able to share their thoughts about their father, how important their father is to them in their lives, as well as their mother.
So that touches on the topic of the show again. People tune in. We're talking about cultivating gratitude during the family traditions, during Thanksgiving, but we're encompassing that and towards life as well.
And at a time when life is not as smooth sailing as it was prior to the shutdown, we need to think, sit back, reflect, read the Bible, and just take time out. We take time out to go to the gym. So we need to take time out and think about how we're going to meditate and ask God to help us through these times to deal with our children, because we won't be dealing with them in the manner we were doing prior to this. And I think, unfortunately, the shutdown is it's open now, but it's only supposed to be open until the end of January. So that's not very long. So we have to start within that time that we're with family, enjoy the time with them, cultivate the type of person you want them to be in life, and God will bring it the rest of the way.
That is true. I just want to share a little bit of our family upbringing with Thanksgiving. I always was the person who used to chop up the seasoning really tight, right? Crystal ran away from that kind of stuff, but Crystal was always eating, right? But that's okay. But I was the one always doing that, so I just wanted to give you a little tidbit on that. And we're going to get back to our talk show, which is cultivating gratitude.
Gratitude. I was grateful for the food. It was delicious. I enjoyed it.
I know you did. That girl, my sister. It's okay. So, how do you think practicing within the family tradition impacts relationships among family members, Pastor Mitchell, among family members and at your church? Let's bring it home. Let's bring it to your church.
Read the question once again for me, please.
Sure, absolutely.
You guys got some.
How do
awesome
you
questions.
think, that's okay. How do you think gratitude within family tradition impacts relationships among family members and at your church?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question again. I think what happens in that sense is that it's impactful because every family is not aware or don't give thanks and are not grateful. And so for us to be a paradigm and to model that, my father would tell us oftentimes, you are blessed to have two parents that you have. Everybody don't have parents like you guys have. So you need to appreciate your mother and I for who we are in your lives. And that is so true, because growing up, I have friends of mine who just didn't have a home life quite like mine. And look, we weren't rich people at all. My mother and father worked every day hard
You're
for
right.
every penny that they earn. And so just knowing that families in my church, I tell kids all the time, as well as their leaders, be grateful, because there are many of those who have far less than you.
That is true, because we had the same scenario at our house. We had working parents. As the pastor Mitchell said, our family wasn't rich either, but we knew how to cultivate love, family. I never had a date when I didn't have food. And some people can't say that. And I'm being honest with you. But in my house, I always had food. My mom always had fruits on the table, snacks on the table. When I came home from school, and I made sure, I had this thing about chocolate chip cookies. I made sure that I took the whole pack and left.
That's
and
Gwen,
Crystal had
whole
nothing,
pack.
right?
That's her. And the blessing is, in the summertime, my dad worked on the riverfront. So we would walk
Long
from
hours.
our house to where the riverfront was, which was maybe 12 blocks or a little longer. But she did that to instill in us that when you are sacrificing, and it was a long walk, but we would stop at the store and get a drink and use the restroom and whatever. But she wanted us to understand that work ethics. Your father's working. Yes, he has a car to get to work, but when he gets there, he does hard labor. And that's what we have to understand. We have to explain to the children all the atrocities that we have to face on the job, because it's a lot, okay? So if we just let the children think that it's easy, you go to work, you come home, that's not the way it is. So they can understand when they are in our place at the workplace, because that's where we want them to be. Because there was a situation that recently happened with the election where Calvin Duncan, is that his name?
Yes, Calvin Duncan. He ran and won for clerk.
And he
criminal
was
district
in
court in New Orleans.
He was innocent. And he was incarcerated for approximately 27 years. And he said he cried every night, because he didn't belong there. He was innocent. He comes out. He rehabilitates himself by fitting back into society. He becomes a paralegal. Then he goes to law school and becomes an attorney. And then he taught at Loyola University.
Wow,
how do you do that? So if he can do that, the same God that gave you birth, there are things you can do. And gratitude.
What a story.
Gratitude.
That's right.
For what he did. The only thing he says he regrets is that his mother did not live until he was released by the Innocent Project. But what are we are supposed to pay something forward. Our parents or loving parents, they're doing the very best depending on what the wages are, but they're doing the very best for us.
Let's talk about storytelling. Just a short synopsis on storytelling during Thanksgiving time, Pastor.
Yeah. Parents always went back in history to teach and to tell us about connections in the lineage of the family, and which made always a great time of not only eating but education.
Okay, I want to tell everybody thank you for first of all, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for tuning in. Tell people, if they're in for the holidays, to come and sit down, listen to the Smith Sisters Talk Show. We come on WVOG 600 AM each Saturday of the month from 6:30 until 7 p.m. And definitely happy Thanksgiving to all of our listening audience. Crystal?
God bless, and remember gratitude for whatever you have. You don't have to have what the person next door to you has, but you can determine where you will go in life. And God is good, and gratitude is every day that we wake up and we make a change.
Thank you. I'm Gwen.
And I'm Crystal. Please stay tuned.
Alrighty.
Wonderful.